Xi Jinping is not a young man anymore. Let's say he dies next week. What happens in Beijing over the next 48 hours or so?
So that's a great question. There is no formal anointed successor right now, which is unusual. So going back to even the Mao era, there was always like an heir apparent that everybody knew was the heir apparent. And that was a very predictable part of the system. Now, what we know about dictatorships, right? Like you create an heir apparent. There's an issue there because you're creating an alternative power center and people start to bandwagon around that person, and that's threatening to the person still in power. And so this is what's known as the crown prince problem. And so Xi Jinping has decided to leave things open ended and not anoint his successor. And in fact, there is no line of succession in the Chinese constitution or anything like that. So it's unclear. There are rankings in the party, but it's not clear from the outside who would actually take power. Period. And so there would be a power struggle, and we don't really know how well these guys get along. I mean, the story that you see now is that Xi Jinping has eliminated all of the other factions in the party, and there is only one faction, and that's the Xi Jinping faction. Historically, there's been these kind of multiple competing factions, usually two factions, in rough balance, usually tied to some senior patron. Now, Hu Jintao is a non-entity. His faction is basically gone. Ditto for Jiang Zemin. Like, there's no rival power center, but that doesn't mean these guys don't have rivalries. And so my guess is like a lot of them probably want to be general secretary, and it could be a little bit of a free for all that would unfold in the coming 48 hours. And the system would try to produce a successor quickly. And that would probably be an emergency meeting of top party leadership, maybe even a central committee. Like the party mechanisms would kick into gear, and they would try to anoint a new general secretary within that 48-hour period, would be my guess. But that person might be weak, right? So they'd probably, at a minimum, will not have the same level of cachet that the Xi Jinping does. And then at the mass level, deaths of leaders are dangerous, right? Like they create opportunities for protest. And Xi Jinping, I think, is pretty popular, but there's definitely people who don't like him. And so my hunch is there'd probably be some degree of mass protest that could also complicate things. I don't think it would become a revolution. It could, but I don't think it would. But so it would be messy. It would be really, really messy. And that's the danger of not having a successor, right? You create this issue, and it could happen, as you said, next week. It could happen in 15 years. But at some point, he will leave power, and it will likely look a little bit like this unless he anoints a successor soon.